Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving into one of the most dramatic developments in the ongoing conflict between Ukraine and Russia. Massive explosions have rocked key oil facilities deep inside Crimea, reportedly the result of a new wave of Ukrainian drone strikes. This latest operation shows how Ukraine's drone warfare has evolved, how it's reaching deeper into occupied territories, and what it could mean for the future of this war. Let's break it all down and understand why these attacks are being called one of the most significant strikes in months. According to multiple sources, Ukraine launched a series of precision drone attacks targeting major oil depots and infrastructure sites across Crimea. These weren't random strikes. They were carefully planned and executed deep behind Russian defensive lines, hitting vital energy hubs that fuel Moscow's military operations. Witnesses reported hearing massive explosions followed by large fires lighting up the night sky. Satellite images released later confirmed heavy damage to multiple storage tanks, suggesting that Ukraine's drones achieved direct hits on their intended targets. For months, Ukraine has been refining its drone warfare strategy. What started as small, tactical missions has now evolved into long-range, coordinated strikes. The drones used in this attack were reportedly domestically produced, capable of flying hundreds of kilometers with advanced navigation systems that can evade Russian radar. The fact that these drones reached deep into Crimea, a region heavily defended by Russian air defense systems, highlights just how far Ukraine's technological capabilities have come. Russia initially tried to downplay the incident, but local reports and social media videos told a different story. Massive plumes of black smoke were seen rising for hours, and emergency services struggled to contain the fires. Residents described a terrifying night of explosions and chaos, with shockwaves felt miles away. By morning, Russian officials were forced to admit that an oil storage facility had indeed been hit, causing what they called a large-scale fire. These strikes come at a critical time. As winter approaches, energy supplies become even more crucial for both military logistics and civilian infrastructure. By targeting fuel depots and oil facilities, Ukraine isn't just causing physical destruction. It's strategically weakening Russia's ability to sustain its war machine. Every liter of fuel destroyed means fewer tanks on the battlefield and fewer planes in the sky. This is warfare not just by force, but by precision and planning. Ukraine's intelligence services have made it clear that Crimea remains one of their top strategic targets. Since its illegal annexation by Russia in 2014, the peninsula has served as a military stronghold, a logistics hub, and a symbol of Russian power. But over the past year, Ukraine has slowly turned Crimea from a symbol of dominance into a vulnerable point of exposure. The Kerch Bridge was one example, and now these drone attacks are another powerful message that no corner of occupied territory is truly safe. What's particularly striking is how Ukraine has adapted to overcome Russia's powerful air defense systems. Using swarming tactics, low-flying routes, and new guidance technologies, Ukrainian drones can overwhelm defenses by sheer coordination. Russian forces have repeatedly claimed they're intercepting most of these drones, but the growing number of successful strikes tells another story. Each explosion deep inside Crimea is not just a tactical victory, but also a psychological blow to Moscow's image of control. Experts are calling this a turning point in modern warfare. Drones have become Ukraine's silent army, cheap, fast, and deadly. While Russia relies on expensive missiles and aircraft, Ukraine has shown how relatively small, cost-effective systems can deliver strategic results. This approach has leveled the playing field in ways no one expected at the beginning of the war. It's no longer just about territory. It's about technology, innovation, and precision. The destruction of these oil facilities also affects Russia's wider military logistics. Crimea serves as a key hub for supplying troops in southern Ukraine. With fuel reserves burning, resupply lines will tighten, transport costs will rise, and frontline operations could suffer delays. For Ukraine, every disruption counts. It's not about a single explosion. It's about eroding the enemy's strength piece by piece. Moscow's response has been predictable: blame, threats, and retaliation. Russian officials have accused Ukraine of escalating the conflict and have vowed to respond with severe consequences. However, such statements have become routine, and what's becoming clearer is that Russia's ability to prevent these strikes is weakening. Ukraine's consistent success in hitting deep targets shows that Russian air defenses in Crimea are not as impenetrable as once believed. At the same time, these strikes carry enormous symbolic weight. Crimea is not just a military base. It's the crown jewel of Putin's territorial ambitions. Every successful Ukrainian attack there undermines that image of control and dominance. It's a reminder to both Russians and Ukrainians that the war is far from over and that even the most fortified regions can be breached. Internationally, reactions have been mixed. Western allies have praised Ukraine's ingenuity, calling the strikes a legitimate act of defense against occupation. However, some European leaders worry that escalating attacks deep inside Crimea could provoke harsher retaliation from Moscow. Yet, for Ukraine, the logic is simple. As long as Crimea remains the command and supply hub for Russian forces, it will remain a legitimate target. The success of these drone operations also points to how Ukraine's defense industry has grown under wartime pressure. Domestic manufacturers have ramped up production, creating a new generation of long-range, low-cost drones. Ukrainian engineers are now competing with global players, developing autonomous flight systems and advanced guidance technologies. This war has essentially transformed Ukraine into a laboratory of drone innovation, with lessons that will likely shape future military doctrines around the world. On the ground, the psychological impact in Crimea is significant. Reports from locals suggest rising fear and uncertainty. Russian troops stationed there now live under constant threat, knowing that strikes could come at any time. For civilians, each explosion serves as a reminder that the peninsula remains a contested zone, not the safe haven Moscow once promised. The tension is palpable, and the sense of control Russia once projected is visibly eroding. Meanwhile, Ukrainian morale has soared. Images of burning oil depots in Crimea are circulating across Ukrainian social media, symbolizing hope and resistance. These images are powerful not just because of the destruction they show, but because of what they represent. A defiant message that Ukraine can hit back, even in the most fortified places. What's also worth noting is how these operations are changing the international conversation about Crimea's future. For years, the world viewed the peninsula as effectively under Russian control. But with repeated Ukrainian strikes reaching its core, the idea of Crimea as a secure, untouchable fortress is collapsing. The war is no longer limited to the front lines. It's extending into the heart of occupied territory, reshaping perceptions of what victory could look like. This attack also reflects a broader shift in Ukraine's military doctrine. Rather than engaging in costly, large-scale offensives, Kiev is focusing on precision strikes that deliver maximum impact with minimal resources. It's a smart strategy for a nation fighting against a much larger enemy. Each drone strike isn't just about physical damage. It's about sending a message, testing defenses, and forcing Russia to spread its forces thin. Satellite images show the extent of the destruction. Rows of oil tanks are charred and twisted, blackened earth spreading across the facility grounds. Firefighters worked for hours, but the damage was already done. Experts say it could take months to restore operations fully, assuming Russia can even secure the necessary resources under current sanctions. This means longer-term disruption for Moscow's military logistics in the south. The implications go beyond the battlefield. Energy facilities are economic lifelines, and every destroyed depot adds pressure to Russia's already strained economy. The Kremlin may try to hide the losses, but the financial and logistical impact is undeniable. Repairing infrastructure in a war zone is costly and dangerous. Each strike adds another layer of difficulty for a government already stretched thin by sanctions, manpower losses, and falling revenues. For Ukraine, this success is both military and symbolic. It shows the world that even after years of war, the country is not backing down. Instead, it's innovating, adapting, and striking back with intelligence and precision. This resilience continues to win admiration and support from allies who see Ukraine not just as a victim of aggression, but as a nation rewriting the rules of modern conflict. Looking ahead, analysts predict that drone warfare will only intensify. As technology advances and production scales up, Ukraine's ability to conduct long-range strikes will continue to improve. Russia, in turn, will try to bolster its defenses, but each failed interception exposes weaknesses in its systems. The skies over Crimea may become the next major battleground, silent, swift, and unpredictable. The explosions in Crimea are more than just isolated incidents. They are a glimpse into the future of this war. A war where speed, precision, and adaptability matter more than size or brute force. Where technology can tip the balance and reshape the course of history. Ukraine's drones have become symbols of defiance, engineering, and survival. Each one launched carries not just explosives, but a message that occupation will never mean security. As the fires in Crimea burn and the smoke fades into the horizon, one thing is clear. This conflict is entering a new phase. Ukraine has proven that it can strike where it hurts most, deep inside enemy territory. And as long as the fight continues, these precision strikes will remind the world that Ukraine's resolve is unbroken, its strategy sharp, and its message unmistakable. Crimea remains within reach. The war may still be far from over, but the balance of fear has begun to shift. The attackers are no longer confined to defense. They are on the move, armed with innovation, determination, and a will that refuses to fade. What happens next will depend not just on military might, but on endurance, intelligence, and the courage to strike back even when the odds seem impossible. Ukraine's drones have done more than hit oil tanks. They've ignited a fire of resistance that shows no sign of dying out anytime soon.